Hi, I'm Dr. Sorelda Herban, founder and CEO of the Married to My Purpose platform. Welcome to the Married to My Purpose TV show. We're excited to have you. We're excited to delve into some topics where we are talking about all things purpose. And today is going to start off with talking about me. I get a chance to share with you a little bit out of my Pandora's box and being able to share those intimate things that you may not know about otherwise. So I'm looking forward to being able to share myself with you and you with me. So come along with us for the ride. Welcome to the show. What inspired me to even launch this show is simple: a life experience. Having going through a divorce, having going through a 23-year marriage, it was very painful for me. And when I spent that time with God, praying, fasting, crying, in pain, heartbroken, one of the things that I said to God in that moment was, I don't know my purpose. My marriage was my purpose. And God said, no, it wasn't. And no, it's not. You made your marriage your purpose, and you made your husband your God. And you left me out. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Now I'm a church girl by trade. I grew up in the church. I'm an ordained elder. So for me, that was a gut punch. For God to tell me that I left him out? Oh no, we can't have that. And on top of that, God came back and gave me a double whammy and said, your identity is spread all over the place. So when I was aware in the moment, when I heard God say, you need to be married to your purpose first, I said, I got it. And that's how the Married to My Purpose platform was launched. It wasn't from Google, it wasn't from research, it was from what I lived. And so the Married to My Purpose platform is time tested. It is experience tested. It is pain tested. It is heartbreak tested. And I'm looking forward to sharing those moments with you because I know that there are people out there just like me who may be going through a divorce, coming out of a divorce, or getting ready to make a decision on whether you're going to stay or go. So I encourage you to come along with me for this ride and understand that being married to your purpose first, you have to be married to everything that is about your purpose first before you can commit to anyone else. And here's the other thing: being married to my purpose, I have a strong conviction about this. This is not something that I play with, this is something that I walk out every single day. Being married to my purpose means self care is the best care. Being married to my purpose is not just a cliche or a phrase that I can put on a notebook or a hat or a sweatshirt. This is something that is an actionable piece of my purpose. It's an actionable piece of my calling. I know there are people out there that are watching and listening to me right now, and I need you to understand it doesn't matter if you're in a traditional marriage. It doesn't matter if you're single. It doesn't matter if you're in between, whether or not you want to even be in a relationship. You have to be committed to yourself first. And that Married to My Purpose platform, I have such conviction about it. I am I'm 10 toes down, okay? And I need you to be 10 toes down with your purpose, with your calling. You got to get plugged in because it's not going anywhere. Your purpose is inside of you. You know, people ask me what shaped this platform, and I'll tell you: the divorce, the marriage, the experience over a 23-year marriage after, realizing this is all I have at this point, and divorce is the only option. Being able to have that moment, that journey, being able to say, you know what, it's okay to stop. It wasn't an easy thing because I grew up in the church. Divorce was not an option. You stay in that box and you figure it out. And that's what we were normally taught growing up. Now, here's the other dichotomy to that is I didn't grow up around a lot of people that were married. So a lot of the things that I've learned in my experiences with marriage was as I was growing up. My mother and father were married, but they separated when I was 3 years old. I never met my father. So when you talk about the conglomeration of the marriage, the life within the marriage for 23 years, the time that I spent a year between filing for divorce and actually divorcing, that was a hard time because my ecosystem that was in place was now shattered and completely disappeared. So when you talk about the conglomeration of me being married, when we talk about the conglomeration of me now filing for separation and then divorce, it is every piece of that is connected. I want you to think about that too. There are pieces in your lives that are connected. Don't take them and hide them. You need every piece. All of these pieces are vehicles. They're vehicles for you to move from where you are to where you need to be. Thus, the Married to My Purpose platform. And that's why I do what I do. You know, a lot of people get lost. They get lost when they come out of a divorce. They get lost when they come out of a job that they thought was going to be their forever job. I thought that my marriage was going to be my forever marriage. I did not want to get a divorce. Let me repeat that. I did not want to get a divorce. I was married 23 years, have children, have a dog, the picket fence, the house, the jobs, the income, living comfortably. And then things stopped and then things changed. So when we're talking about how you feel, the transformation, the transformation in the pain, the transformation in my journey, it was tough. It was a tough space. I realized that the pain was sitting on my chest like someone had put their foot on my chest and I could not breathe. I literally could not breathe. Some days I would have panic attacks that were so severe, they would take on the form of strokes. And for those of you I know I'm connecting with right now, it's not worth it. I understand. I came from a spiritual family, but pain like that is not healthy for anybody. And I realized that it was not healthy for me. Now, watch this. Once I navigated and walked through that pain, I realize now on the other side of it, I'm able to talk through the pain. And not only am I able to talk through the pain, I'm able to help other people talk through theirs just the same. So don't think that the pain that you're going through is for naught. It is always designed to be able to lift someone else up and help someone else as well. There's a moment when I actually thought I had lost my entire sense of purpose. And that was when I called the lawyer and I filed for separation. That day I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried until I couldn't cry anymore. There were no tears left. Other than a headache, that was the only sign. I realized that my world was shaken. I realized that it was time for me to heal. And I had to do that in steps. I had to do that along a journey that I really didn't want to take. Separating from something that you didn't want to separate from, it's different if I'm like, I'm out the door, I'm done. Now, I did say that, but I didn't want a divorce. But I also realized God shared something with me. He said, you have two options. You can stay and die, or you could leave and live. Now, here I am trying to be clever. Well, God, can I stay, and work it out? And God said, you've tried that for 23 years, and clearly that's not working. You're released. And I had never been less excited about someone saying I was released from something when I heard God say that to me. I didn't want to be released. I wanted to stay, but I also knew that if I stayed, I wouldn't survive. So God, in his infinite voice, and it's not a loud voice, sometimes it's a very small voice, and he said, you're released. It's time to go. And so I'm encouraging you, listen to the small voices. Listen to those ideals around you that people are saying in conversation. You may have your answer right around your space that you're in right now. So make sure you keep your eyes and your ears open for that voice and for that decision to stay or to go. People that are navigating post divorce, there are some people that are, I know that people that are listening to this show right now, there may be some of you who have currently filed for divorce, have recently divorced, and now you're trying to pick up the pieces to begin again, because we always know that we can begin again. How do we do that? How do we move forward? What does that look like? Transformation is not easy. Transformation is hard. It may be necessary, but it's absolutely hard. It's hard work. We have to do the hard work. And one of the things that I'll say to this is we've got to do that work from the inside out. It's not a facade. We can't put a coat on top of it. We can't put makeup on top of it. We've got to do the hard work. And that's what I encourage you to do every day when you wake up. Do the hard work. You do the hard work up front, and the easy work, the latter days of your life are going to be much smoother and much easier. A shift happened inside of me when I thought about my grandmother. We call her mama because she raised us. I wasn't raised by my parents. Something shifted inside of me because both my mom and my grandmother have passed away. And one of the things that shifted inside of me was remembering how I was raised. I was raised by 100% women, aunts, aunties at church, grandmothers, sisters, a town that was very small. I was really raised by a town, by a community. And so when I think about the things that those women have gone through to get to where they were, when I think about the things that my grandmother had to sacrifice to make us who we are today as women, because it was several of us. I didn't have many brothers, so it was a lot of sisters, bigger sisters, older sisters that I had. And that pivot inside of me when I was filing for divorce, when I was going through the separation, when I'm now on the other side of divorce, that moment for me to understand that purpose was not an option was when I could hear my grandmother's voice say, "Get up, get up. If you don't get up, you won't survive. Nobody is coming to save you." And I'm saying that to you. Nobody is coming to save you. So when you talk about pivoting, I want you to talk about it in a way where it is not an option. When I talk about it today, it's not an option for me to keep going. I have to keep going. There is a thing about high achievers, and I am one of them. We go and we go and we go and we go. We do not stop. We go from one thing to the next. Especially if you're a mom, think about it this way. You got to cook, you got to clean, you got to make sure your children are taken care of, you got to make sure your husband is taken care of if you're married, and then if you're single, it's almost a double jeopardy because now all of those things where if you were in a marriage, and in my case I was, everything falls on me. And so when you're talking about people that are high achievers and they can multitask, especially if they're multi hyphenates, if you have multiple gifts, you have multiple companies, you have multiple businesses, you're doing speaking engagements, you're helping people write books, you're doing all of these things in coaching, and you're trying to make time for yourself. You're trying to make time for your purpose. Now, some people would say, I am walking in my purpose if I'm doing all of these things. But that's the problem. Doing and being is two different things. We don't want to just be busy. We want to be impactful and we want our purpose to shine through everything we touch. So when I am moving now in my purpose, it looks totally different. And it has really nothing to do with whether I'm married or if I'm single, because we can operate in our purpose, whatever the status. But what I am saying is, as a high achiever and a high performer, we have to be mindful of not getting busy. Listen, the Married to My Purpose conference is growing legs and trees and forests. It is, listen, everybody is asking about this conference in Woodbridge, Virginia, February 20th and 21st. And oh, it happens to also be my 50th birthday. So, yes, I'm going to clock it, all of that. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, this conference is like a curated space for people who are looking to confirm that they're operating where they should be in their purpose. This conference is also a space where people who don't know, am I even where I'm supposed to be? And then this conference is also for people who are operating in their purpose and they simply want to scale. Now, there's another group of people. that have been registering for the conference because I have all of my speakers lined up already. I'm so excited to release that information here soon. But there are so many different people coming to the conference. This one group that's near and dear to my heart are people that want to just receive. The Married to My Purpose platform sits right in the center of this conference. And this conference is like the heartbeat, it's like an orbit kind of going around everything and all things married to my purpose. When you are married to your purpose, every different experience that you have and in every space that you're in should illuminate everything that you touch. So the Married to My Purpose conference in February is going to be hot, y'all, hot and popping. You need to get your ticket and come on and join us. I talk a lot about being married to myself first, and I do that for a lot of reasons because I didn't always feel that way. I thought that because I was in a traditional marriage that was enough. I thought that being in a traditional marriage, I could hide behind the fact that I am in a traditional marriage and everything that I wanted to do had to be deferred. Well, I learned differently. Now that I'm on the other side of the marriage, now that I am a single woman about to turn 50 years old, I never imagined having to quote unquote start over at 50. But I kept hearing in my voice, in my heart, and in my head, and in my spirit saying, you can begin again. You can begin again. Understanding being married to yourself first, the first thing that comes to my mind is self care is the best care. Sometimes I realized I was moving so fast, I was moving ahead of myself. And then there were other times where I'm paralyzed in any type of progress where I wasn't moving at all. So we've got to find that sweet spot of being married to ourselves first by first taking care of ourselves. Having some days where you're just at home, like today, I just took a break. I slept in. It's a Saturday. I didn't want to get up early. I didn't have to. So I took the time, you know what, to say, I am going to take time for myself. And I did. And I need you to do the same thing. Being married to yourself first is simply self care is the best care. Now, there are some things that I want you all to consider. I want some transformation to take place in your life. And some of those tools are in direct alignment to the platform, to the blueprint of being married to your purpose. Number one, self awareness. I want you to walk away from this show understanding that being self aware is the first step to being married to your purpose. The next step I want you to realize is you've got to date your purpose and you've got to court your purpose. That takes time. You want to be able to get to know what tools, what resources, what talents, skills, knowledge, and ability you have to operate in your purpose. Take some time to learn it. And that third step in the blueprint is proposing to your purpose, being engaged, just like a traditional marriage. Now you have committed. This is it. I know what my purpose is. I understand the sweet spot. I'm working it. I'm refining it. I'm being developed in it. And I am all in. And then that final stage is being married to your purpose, understanding this is a lifelong commitment and purpose is your forever partner. So when you leave, every time you watch an episode, I want you to think about those four steps in the blueprint of being married to your purpose. And those are things that I think about all the time because I'm really honing in on being married to my purpose first. Now, there's some things that I want you to consider because a transformation is taking place in you. You don't even know it yet, but it is. We've gone through so many things during this episode and you watching the Married to My Purpose TV show. But I want you to think about these things. When you have peace in your life, when there was always struggle and chaos, you know that transformation has taken place. When you know that you are now self aware in the spaces of your life that felt broken, that's when you know a purpose transformation has taken place. Here's another one. When you have taken time, studied, researched, connected with other people that are already successful in this transformation space of purpose, that's when you know you have made a shift because you're not where you used to be. You've taken a step to go just a little bit further. Here's another one: proposing to your purpose. Now you know that you have peace in your life, you have connected with people that can help you, and now you are all in for yourself first. Yes, all of those other things and all of the other fruit that we can see is very important to transformation. But if you aren't connected to it first, you're going to continue to repeat these cycles, and you'll see the fruit that was once fruitful, it's not fruitful anymore because you're not committed to it. So you should see some fruit. You should see that fruit of being confident in who you are. You should see the fruit of being bold to talk about it. If you're afraid to talk about your purpose to anyone, then maybe you haven't made that step to be all in. And then that last step, the way you'll know without a shadow of a doubt that transformation has taken place in your life, here are some strong ones. I know you may not agree with me, but they are powerful. Forgiveness becomes easy. Letting go becomes easy. When a trigger or traumatic event comes up in your space, you don't respond to it, you excel in the midst of it. When you can do those things, you know that transformation in your purpose has taken place. You know, oftentimes people will drift away from their purpose, and that's not a good thing either. When you talk about drifting away from your purpose, you want to make sure that the area and circumstances around you, they are not causing you to drift further away, i.e. your family environment. And I'm not saying to divorce your family, I'm not saying to walk away from your family. What I'm saying is sometimes it's okay to take a break. It's absolutely okay to take a break. When you're drifting, if you think about a boat, and I don't know if you all played this game when you were younger, or you had this exercise where you would make this paper hat, and then you would put that paper hat in water and you see it floating around. We don't want to drift like the paper hat. We want to be anchored in everything that we do. And in order for you to be anchored, you have to have a foundation that's deeply rooted. You know, there was a study that I did in my, I think it was a science class, and we talked about the different trees. There are some trees that are 6 feet in a root of the ground. Like their root is 6 feet deep in the ground, which means if the troubles come, winds come, the different seasons, rain, sleet, shine, snow, it's not going to break because what we see on the top, what we see moving in that tree, it's so deeply rooted in foundation, it's not going to be swayed. It can't drift. So when you're talking about drifting, when you think about, oh my gosh, I am so far away from my purpose, come back to the center and understand that you are only going to be stable if you are deeply rooted in your purpose. You've got to put down some roots. And that's what I want you to do. I had to put down some roots of forgiveness. I had to put down some roots of letting go. I had to put down some roots of not being bitter. I had to put down some roots of understanding. There are people that I'm going to have to talk to and interact with that I don't necessarily prefer. But in order to get to where I need to go in my purpose, I have to. And I need you to do the same thing. Put your roots down so that they don't wither or drift in times of hard circumstances. You know, for me, I felt useless when I filed for divorce. I felt like I was a piece of paper or a piece of dirt under somebody's shoe. I'm being totally honest with you all today. And it hurt because I spent so many years in a space, and the fact that I couldn't process that it was going away, that was tough for me. The fact that I felt that I wasn't worthy enough for somebody to fight for me. I was stuck there for a long time. And sometimes the triggers may come back up, but I have to remember I am not, and I was not, my marriage. I am not the sum of the things that I was entitled: mom, wife, military officer, government civilian, nonprofit leader, chair of an executive board. I'm not the sum of the things that I do. And if I am, my worth is going to be fickle. And I was there until I realized if God takes all of those things away, I am still who I am. I am still who I am because my foundation is settled. And I want your foundation to be settled. You've got to get a firm foundation on who you are, or you'll be tossed to and fro. Just like we talked about drifting. We don't want to drift in our purpose. We want to be foundationally set in our purpose. Now, here is some fun stuff that I want to get to. We got to get to the juicy stuff. So, the juicy stuff is all of the things that you're talking about. Okay, Dr. Sorrelda, you've talked about your life, you've talked about your experiences, you've given us some tools and some tips, but how can we remain connected? Is there a community for us to connect to? Is there a group of meetings that you have? And the answer to all of that is yes. Let me talk a little bit about some of them. Well, one of them is called Reset Sundays. On Reset Sundays, we meet on social media. I do it on Facebook Live, but I also do it on a Zoom call. And from 9 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we meet and we do a Reset Sunday. What does that look like? That's a space where it doesn't matter what you're bringing to the table because we're all going to be in different spaces on that Sunday night. But we all know that we've got to push past wherever we are, whatever we've gone through for that week, and we're going to set some goals. There may have been some things during that week that you did not accomplish, but you can take them into the next week and say, I'm going to do this. There may have been some things in that week that did not go so well, but that Sunday, you're saying, it doesn't matter that it didn't go well. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to reset my week and I'm going to decide to tell my week how it's going to go. Because a lot of times we let our days control us and not control our days. That's one area. At the conference, I'm going to give y'all a little sneak peek. At the conference, I'm going to be releasing this 90-day masterclass and mastermind that's called the Purpose Midwife 90-day mastermind. This mastermind is designed for people who know that they are stuck. There's no other way to put it. I know that I'm stuck. I'm progressing. I am successful. I'm moving and shaking, but I'm still stuck. And you need that push. I'm that push. I am the purpose midwife. I am the purpose, the person that will come beside you and say, look, okay, I see where you are. I see what you're trying to do. Let's come up with some tools and some resources and some steps because we got enough information already. The Purpose Midwife 90-day mastermind is designed for you to come to the table, and when you leave, you have pushed a little bit further. And then, of course, the National Married to My Purpose Conference. That's a space. You have got to get into those curated spaces like that so that you can meet other people. Oftentimes, many people, and this is tested in statistics and research, people will make decisions off of what they see and what they've seen. They're not going to make decisions off of what they have not seen. Most people don't make decisions based off of faith. Now I'm saying, and because we know that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And most of the time, we do not build businesses off of faith. We do not make decisions off of faith because we haven't seen a thing yet. So we want to make sure that when we are creating spaces that we're going into and we're making those decisions to get into those spaces, that we are looking at it in a way to say, you know what? I'm going to have faith and I'm going to go into these spaces. I've never been to the Married to My Purpose conference, but I'm going. I don't even know what it's all about, but I'm going to go because it's a curated space for people to collaborate. It's a curated space for people to network. It's a curated space for you to level up. And that's what I'm doing when I create these communities. Your faith makes a whole difference. It makes all the difference. But we don't make decisions off of our future. We make decisions off of what we've experienced and what we're experiencing now. And so that conference is designed for you to come into a space and meet the people that you haven't even met yet. Because those people that you haven't met could be the answer to the purpose piece that has you stuck. And we're going to push you out of that space, push you out of comfortability so that you can get to where you need to be. Now, that's just a few, but we'll get into some more things as the season goes on. If I do this show right, if the Married to My Purpose TV show does not get you invigorated to move from where you are to where you need to be, I have not done my job. If this show does not make you go to sleep at night a little bit more empowered for what you need to do, I have not done my job. But if this show allows you to wake up the next morning, look yourself in the mirror and say, wow, I am good enough. I am worth it. I am not a doormat. I can do a hard thing and I can do the inner work to better myself. If you can wake up and say any of those things, I have done my job with curating the Married to My Purpose show. So I want you to consider those things that you're stuck in and those things that you want to come out of. If you can do that a little bit at a time every day, and then tune in to the Married to My Purpose show, shameless plug, once a week, we can get better every single day. Marriage is the strongest covenant in the world. Imagine if you have taken that same space and transferred it to your purpose. Your purpose needs to have just as strong a covenant. And then let's take it from a single person's perspective. You've never gotten married, but the commitment that you've made to yourself is so strong that you cannot waver. And that's what I want you to see when we're talking about marriage, not to a person, but marriage to your purpose and to yourself first.